Welcome back, everyone. I have a new line of kits coming out. The kits will include brick. Not laser engraved brick on wood, not printed brick on paper, but 3D printed brick. I am so excited about these kits. Currently we have 4 designed. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the first one, and I'm going to show you how to assemble it and how to paint and weather the brick to make it look realistic. Now, don't forget, if you are a paid Patreon member, you receive a discount on this kit. So let me put some images of the kit up on the screen for you, and then we'll head over to the workbench and get started on it. And the kit is currently available on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, on this kit we're going to start with the wood structure. So let's get our walls cut out. Okay, I made a mark at the bottom of the walls every ½ inch. Now we'll take our pounce wheel. Okay, I'll get these done and then we'll come back and put our bracing on. Okay, here are the 2 side walls. On both of these, you put the bracing all the way to the edge, and then one down the middle. Okay, here's the front and the back. Notice these 2 are the same exact size. They're a little wider than the side walls. Okay, come in on both sides, the thickness of the bracing, same on this one. You can see okay, then I put 2 pieces in the center and 2 pieces in the center here. Okay, on this piece, and I should have done it before I cut these out, but I put nail holes, and I did every ½ inch, but you run them this direction. So you can see my pencil marks on the side. So start at the bottom, every ½ inch, and go straight across. I should have popped these back in. That's what I'll do. Okay, I've got the rest of these braced. So these here, I put the bracing all the way to the edge on the short side. See how it slants down at an angle? So on this side, on both of them, all the way to the edge. And then all the way to the edge on the top and the bottom. And then this piece, notice the lines go up and down. Put the bracing going this direction at the top and the bottom, but you have to leave space at the end so that these can fit just like that. And I'll put a diagram in the instructions for all this. Okay, same with these. Put the bracing all the way to the edge. And then on the long pieces, leave a space because it goes like that. So make sure you leave space on these so it fits together. Okay, if you're unsure, just check the instructions and there will be a diagram. And really, it's, you know, I've said this before, but the bracing is just a suggestion. I've had people tell me that I overbrace. That really, like, one piece down the center, they glue it with their corner trim. So I kind of do a lot. And the reason I do a lot is because I think it makes it a little easier to glue it together. So, but again, it's just a suggestion. You can brace the walls however you want to. Okay, the next step will be to stain them. And we're going to stain them with, let's do Ocean Depth. And again, it is from besttrains.com. I did have some leftover wood, so I put a strip across the bottom just because it was starting to curl a little bit. Okay, everything's stained. I've got some weights on the big walls over here, letting them dry. And for the big walls, we're going to use a color called Thicket. Okay, these should be dry. I'll show you quick how I do this. I just have these weights. I don't know where. I got these from my grandfather. He had these years ago, and he had a bunch of them, and he would weight rolling stock. He'd put them inside boxcars. I don't know where he got them. I've got a bunch of them. So I put one there and one there. And then put those on the center. Because they were kind of bowing a little bit. It's winter time and it's a little chilly in my basement. Same with these. Now sometimes if the walls are really wet, you don't want to put the weight on there right away. You may want to put a paper towel on there, like then set it on there, because it'll leave that pattern with those circles on there. It's weird. I've had it happen before. It's not good. So again, we're using the color Thicket. Okay, our walls are all painted, and I did decide to paint these with Thicket too. So the only thing I didn't paint were these three walls. And again, I think I'm leaning towards desert sand for those. We'll paint those later. Okay, let's go ahead and paint all of our doors and windows. I just finished spraying these parts white, and I used this right here. And I'll show you. We did 12 window frames, 12 windows, the big door, the big door frame, these two small windows, and these 3 doors, and 3 door frames. Now there's more parts, but like we have another door, more windows, all this stuff gets a different color. Alright, let's get our window frames cut out and we'll start to glue those all on. Okay, all of the window frames and door frames are glued in place, and I painted the inside. Even on these small guys. And for the inside, I used light buttermilk. Okay, now the windows are all painted. So I'll cut these out, glue acetate to the back of them, and then glue them in place. Okay, I stained the corner trim and then painted it white. My windows are in. Now, let's start to put our walls together. Okay, so that is the back wall. Has a door at the bottom, and then this wall right here. That wall goes like that. So let's grab our 1, 2, 3 blocks. Now we'll take our front wall. I'm using the lines on my mat to make sure it's square. Okay, some of you may be wondering why I used super glue. Because normally I just use regular Elmer's glue. My walls were slightly bowed this way. So, using the super glue, I was able to force them to all straighten out. And as you can see, it's perfectly straight and the walls are perfectly square. Okay, now let's take our corner trim that we painted and get that glued on. Now we'll switch back to regular Elmer's glue. Maybe we should glue these on first. Okay. Picking which one I like the best. So my favorite one will go in the front and the second one will go in the back. Okay, the walls are finished. I forgot to put window shades. So I'm going to paint them. I'm using deep ochre. Okay, not too bad. So, if you're building this at home, don't forget to put your window shades on before you glue your walls together. Okay, now I'm working on the little structure that goes on the side here. And it's just 3 walls. And I used desert sand. Now on these 2 walls, you'll see there's a square cut out. Those 2 vents go inside those squares, and then the frames are down below. I'm going to cut these out and spray them with a reddish brown primer. Oh, and the trim that's going to go on these, the corner trim here, it's the top. It's the section that got cut off, so we'll use that. And it was white, but I just painted it with the desert sand. Okay, let me get these painted and glued in place. I took some black construction paper and put it behind the vent. Okay, now let's take iced coffee again. Let's add some chipping to our corner trim. Okay, next we're going to start working on the brick structure. Now this gets placed right next to it like that. Okay, the first thing we need to do is spray this with a primer. And we're using an automotive primer. And you can see filler primer. And it's a little thicker. That way it'll fill in the texture of the lines from printing. It's not necessary. You could just spray this with the reddish brown primer that we'll use next, and then with acrylic paint we're going to sponge colors over it or paint over it, and that fills in the lines too. But if you want to use this, you can. Don't go heavy with it. Just go light, spray it, and then after it dries, we're going to spray it with this. And it's just a reddish brown primer. Okay, I just sprayed it with the automotive primer. Now it's very important, do not use a hair dryer to dry this. I just let it air dry. You do not want to heat up this plastic because it will warp and you'll ruin it. So do not heat this up. I suppose you could, if you have a hair dryer that has a cold air setting, you could use that to dry it. Again, I just let this air dry. Okay, now I'm going to mask off the foundation, and then I'm going to spray the brick with the reddish brown primer. Okay, it is done. Now again, I let it air dry. Do not use hot air to speed up the drying time because it will warp badly. It will ruin it. So What I did was I sprayed this with a reddish brown primer, sort of going down at a 45-degree angle. Then I flipped it upside down and sprayed it again at a 45-degree angle. Light, you don't have to go heavy. You don't have to go heavy at all because it's just a base coat. Now we're going to go over it with acrylic paint in the different brick colors. I do both because the brick is raised, so if you only do one direction, it'll be gray, especially inside the window and the big garage doors. So you want to make sure you spray it both directions. I really want to have this be an orange brick, like really old looking. So I'm going to start with burnt orange. Okay, that layer is done. Now we're going to add tangerine. Now this color I'm not going as heavy. The first one, when I went over it, I tried to get all of the brick, even the ones that were like recessed. Now I'm going for more of the raised brick. Okay, now we're going to tone it down a little bit with bittersweet chocolate. And we're just going to make a wash. Now I'm just going to put a bunch of water in here. A little bit more paint. I might even add a little bit of black. Just a drop. Just letting some of that water soak into the brush when I touch it. There's just some heavy areas. Okay, now we just gotta wait for that to dry. Okay, I let this dry for a little bit, and then I did use my hair dryer and put it on the cold air setting and went over it, so it's completely dry. And I'm thinking I'm going to leave it like this. Now, before you do your dark wash, you could have went in with brick red, different shades of brick colors, and painted some individual brick, and then did your wash. Now you can add mortar to this, but very important, you have to spray a clear coat on this. Spray the entire thing with a clear coat, maybe 2 coats. Let it dry, then smear on like joint compound, and then wipe it off. Very quickly I will show you what that looks like because I'm working on another building. But again, you have to spray this with a clear coat. If you don't and you put on the joint compound, the water in it will reactivate the acrylic paint and it will bleed into the mortar. Okay, now we have to paint the inside trim around the back door, the window, and these 2 big doors. And then we need to paint our foundation a concrete color. Okay, for our trim color, we're going to go back to the color Thicket. Okay, now I'll do the two big doors, and then I'll come back and we'll paint the concrete. Okay, the trim is done. Now we're going to do the concrete, and we're using slate gray and desert sand. And I'm mixing half and half. Okay, we'll let this dry, and then we'll do some weathering to that concrete with some pastel chalks. You know, we could even take a rust colored pastel, just a little bit here and there. Now let's move on to painting the doors and the window. Okay, here's what it looks like with the doors in. Okay, everything fits, so let's paint. That one will leave. These two, we need to paint the underside just of the part that has the hangover, are off-white, or light buttermilk. This one, let's paint this one. I've got some dark chocolate just to darken it up a little bit. We'll actually go ahead and glue this one on. I want to make sure it fits the same, no matter how it's on there. It should. It actually looks better like that. Maybe it's just how I had it on there, but I'm going to put an arrow facing forward. Okay, now we'll glue this. I like to dab it like this because it spreads the glue out, and you can actually start to feel it get tacky. And then we can actually take, it'll come out, yeah. Okay, I did super glue in the four corners and at the peaks. Now you gotta, because of that super glue, you have to work kind of quick. There's a dormer that gets built and put on top, and it's really simple. So you've got your two long walls, and then two of these. We have to put corner trim on there, but then it goes just like that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is get these four walls glued together and get our white corner trim glued on each four corners. We're going to take a break from the structure and we're going to build a set of stairs. And you'll see we have these two pieces here. They are identical. Now this, I forgot, but there's two fans in there that you need to cut out. And those two fans, I'll reach up in there, but they get glued back behind there on both sides. Okay, we'll set those to the side. So we have these two pieces that are identical. Then we have these two pieces that are identical. Let's paint these. And we're using the color Thicket. We'll even use a sponge. Now we'll just simply flip them over and paint the other side. Okay, now take one of these you don't have to use super glue. Hopefully you can see this. Then take the other one now if you want to use your accelerator just to lock it in place. Now we can glue on all the steps, but first we have to paint them. Okay, here are all the steps. So we need to cut these out, and then we have this. It's a platform that goes on the top, and notice there's engraved lines. Same on these. So that's how you know that's the top. And then same on the steps. There's engraved lines. Those are the top. Then we have a railing for the side and then a small railing for the back. Alright, I'm going to get these all cut out and then get a gray primer sprayed on them, and then we'll paint them all with the color Thicket. Now don't forget, you're going to want to prime both sides of all these pieces. And then it's not necessary to paint the color Thicket on both sides, but definitely on the top side and probably both sides of the railing. So I primed one side of all the pieces. Now I'm taking the color Thicket now I'm going to flip all these pieces over. let me blow dry them quick here. Now I'll flip all these over, and then we'll do the same to the other side. Okay, everything's flipped over. Now I'll spray a gray primer on it and paint the color Thicket. You know, I probably should have sprayed these pieces first with a gray primer. That way it kind of all matches. But oh well, I kind of get in a hurry sometimes because I'm trying to focus on how to build it correctly to show you guys, and I forget about steps like that. But so at home, you may want to spray all these pieces gray so that when you sponge on the color thicket, the gray kind of shows through like it will on these, and so the whole thing kind of looks like metal. Okay, I glued the platform on the top with the engraved lines facing up, and make sure that it's flush in the front. Don't worry if there's a slight overhang on the back. Make sure it's flush in the front. I'll show you why real quick. The railing gets glued on. See if I can hold it for you. It gets glued on to the front of it. So you want to make sure there's no overhang. Same with all your steps. Make sure it's flush in the front. Again, I think the best way to do this is to put super glue on a tray, a piece of cardboard, something, a scrap piece of something. Then dip both ends in it. And glue it in place. It actually doesn't take long. Just make sure that it's flush in the front. You know, before you get too far, glue one at the bottom to keep it from moving. That way it stays constant, the thickness. We'll actually glue one in the middle too. That way it doesn't spread apart. It stays the same thickness all the way down. Okay, now we'll fill it all in. Okay, it really goes quick. It doesn't take that long at all. Okay, now we'll lay that down on its side. And we're going to want to put a little bit of super glue on the back of these. I'm going up about halfway. I just wipe it a little bit so it's not too thick. And we'll do the same with this railing. And we'll glue it onto the back. Okay, let's build the structure that fits on top of this brick building. So we just need to cut out the walls and then cut out everything on here. And don't forget to file the edges, the sides of your walls and the openings. Because you'll see there's little nubs on there. We gotta file that flat. Okay, we have to glue these together. So take this wall with the door. That's the side wall. And then this wall with the two windows, that's the front. it gets glued onto this surface here. So then the back wall gets glued like this. So this wall is sandwiched in between the two long walls. Make sure that that is flush. Okay, now we'll do this side. Okay, now I need to, you know what, I need to check this quick to make sure I glued this one on. Nope, I glued that upside down. You can tell there's a thicker piece at the top. So just double check. You can see when I put that on there, it doesn't line up. So I'm glad I caught that. So put these on first. We'll just dry fit them to get the direction. Okay, we'll let that dry a little bit, and then we need to, I'm going to see if I have some black spray paint and just spray the outside of this black. And then all these and the windows get painted with iced coffee. Okay, this is painted all black. Now we'll paint all these pieces. And again, we're using iced coffee. Okay, let's get all of these glued onto the walls. Just cleaning up any extra glue that's on there. Again, fits perfectly. It goes all the way to all four edges. Okay, now we need to paint with the iced coffee the openings. So we'll do the same with the door, just paint the inside of the opening and these two windows. Okay, it is all done. Oh, I even glued the door in. Okay, now let's glue this on top of here. Now it's very important that it's flush on this side because it goes up against the building like that. Now to place it, I'm just going to do 4 drops. One in each corner. That way it allows me to move it. Because super glue sets up really fast. And then once you're happy with it, you can put a few more drops. Okay. Double check that it's flush, yes. I wanted to mention, very, very important, do not glue this on the side of the building yet. Yeah, do not. Yeah, because there is a foundation that goes underneath this, so they sit at different heights. Okay, the black tar paper is on the roof. I don't know if you can see all the individual strips I put on there. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Just take Elmer's glue and a paintbrush, paint the glue on the roof, put your strips of black construction paper. Now, let's weather this. And the first thing we're going to do is take some sandpaper and sand this and kind of rough it up. Okay, I'm using 220. I think this is 220 sandpaper, 220 grit. Okay, now we're going to take neutral gray. Okay, now we'll take slate gray. Very little of this, very little. I think we'll mix it right with our neutral gray. Just be very careful using this. Might be hard to see, but there's a little bit of gray on there. We'll also add some pastel chalk to that. Okay, our tar paper is all done. Now again, very important, do not glue these two together yet. Okay, now we're going to work on the concrete. Let's see, that goes like that. That lines up there. You'll see these lines line up. There's a shorter row on this end. See, these are all square, and that's like a half of one. This goes here like this. Make sure your lines line up. And then this one will go over here. And so I'll show you quick. So this small square, you'll see there's an arrow. That arrow points in towards the building. Okay, that's the foundation under this. Then this, it's hard for me to see it because I want you to be able to see it from that side. And then our stairs go like that. Okay, so let's get this all painted. Now I'm going to spray both sides with a gray primer. And I'm doing that because I think it will help prevent it from warping, because we have to paint this to look like concrete. And so this is a paper material, and I just don't want it to warp. So again, we'll spray both sides with a gray primer. Okay, now we're going to start to paint the concrete. Okay, I was just using the straight gray, but I'm going to add a little bit of a darker gray to it. Maybe, let's see, what do I have? Neutral gray. Neutral gray, that'll be good. Okay, now we'll do a little bit of weathering on them. Okay, let's go ahead and glue our structure on here. Now, if you want to, there's some signs in the kit that you can put on here first if you'd like to. I'm going to go ahead and glue it. And we're going to glue this under there too. Okay, so line up the back end, the back edge. Now we can actually glue this to the side. But we want to first, let's glue this. And we may want to just do a dab of super glue to hold it in place so it doesn't move. And hopefully not glue it to the workbench. Now we know exactly where to glue that. And you can see the roof lines up perfectly with the bottom of that door. I'm using super glue to glue to the plastic. Okay. Oh, and now we'll let this dry good, and then we'll get our staircase glued on the side. Okay, while we're waiting for that to dry, let's do some weathering. And first I'm going to go in the corner here. Okay, let's glue on the sidewalk, or the stairs. Notice where I put the railing right next to the door frame. You can scoot the whole thing back, and then it won't stick out quite as far, but I kind of like it right there. Okay, we've got signs and then lots of detail parts to put on. Okay, there's a sign that goes on the rooftop here. And let's put that frame together. So we have this piece. We'll lay that down. You can either put the triangle going up or like that. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. Now the flat side right here, that gets glued on each one of those straight pieces. Okay, and put it level with the top. You can wonder if this is thick enough. Yeah, that'll work. So we've got a ruler there to make sure that everything is level across the top. That'll make the bottom level so that it sits perfect on the rooftop. Now we can quick spray it to lock it in place. And that's just Instaset. I believe you can buy this on Amazon. We have this. This is in the kit with the windows and doors. And that goes on there just like that. So let's put a few drops on here. Okay, so this sign gets put up there. Then there's another piece. Again, it's in the kit with the windows and doors. That sign gets put right there. Okay, let's get a gray primer sprayed on these, and then we'll cut out the paper signs and glue them to the front. Okay, while we're waiting for that gray primer to dry, let's work on the signs. These will be in with the instructions. The first thing we're going to do is cut out these newspapers. Okay, we'll set those aside. Now we're going to add rust to these signs here. And notice we have an old familiar sign. Okay, we're going to use raw sienna and bittersweet chocolate. Now we'll take bittersweet chocolate. I'll show you this one first. Looking for my tweezers. Now we can take the raw sienna. I've got quite a bit of water in my brush. Okay, we'll get our box of chalks. Now we'll get these cut out. Okay, I'm doing the front sign first. After you've got it cut out, take a brown or gray marker and go over the edge. This will get rid of the paper look. You wouldn't have to glue it to this. It just adds some thickness to it. I'm just wiping any extra glue. Now I'll take my brown marker again. Now we can glue this on. And there it is. And for any of you movie buffs, you may recognize the name. Really take your time when you are cutting out your signs. You don't want to mess them up. And we do have a 3D printed spark plug that'll go right there. We just need to paint it and add some rust to it. Okay, it is finished. All the detail parts are glued on. Everything you see comes in the kit. I wanted to quick share this with you. This was my original sketch when I first came up with the idea for this kit. It's always so exciting to go from this to this. Just, man, it's just so exciting for me. All right, I hope all of you love this kit. This is definitely a fun build. And again, you might want to look up the name John Milner. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's video. This is such a fun kit, and I'm so excited about the 3D printed brick. Again, we have 3 more kits after this one that will include brick. So check the website at jasonjensentrains.com. And again, if you are a paid Patreon member, you receive a discount. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.